You know, a couple of weeks ago, we saw ChiYo playing the Juno and we saw that everything was going wrong. He had his order of operations out of whack. He had no clue what he was doing on this hero. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong for ChiYo. Now we've got him playing Juno a couple of weeks later and taking Crazy Raccoon to map 5 on the Juno. So let's see how he does here. Let's see how he performs. First fight, you know, he's banging his ring down at his own feet, which is nice. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Just doing some poking, and his spacing seems fine. Spacing seems totally fine. Looks like he's not taking a lot of risk right now, and ain't nothing wrong with that. They're pushing up on the inside, but look, Crazy Raccoon, they're just completely swapping comp. They see the Zarya, they decide to go Rhine. This is completely unrelated to what ChiYo's doing, but you can see already that things have gotten better for him, right? He's playing up on these little high grounds. He's using the super jump to his advantage, not needing to use any cooldowns to get into a good position. I promise you, if we saw this 2 weeks ago, instead of being up here on the barrier without using a cooldown, he would have used his fly for absolutely no reason, just flown around in main for no reason whatsoever. So I think already clear improvement, right? He's getting into a power position, getting to an aggressive angle without using any cooldowns. And his spacing is really good. He's always like 1 block behind his Cassidy, 2 blocks behind his Zarya. He tries to speed his Zarya out, but his Zarya is so good that he can just fly around the corner regardless. He gets a good panoramic mid-fight set of orbs. He doesn't rush it and get nothing. So again, you know, last week, well, a couple of weeks ago, we were super critical about the fact that he was using those orbs extremely early, getting no value. Here, he got mid-fight orbs. They did some damage. They did some healing. They saved everyone. It was good. Overall, I think he's done really, really well. Bro acting like he cyberbullied ChiYo into a better player. I don't think that my flaming had any impact on ChiYo becoming a better player. I'm just talking about the general line of progression here, right? As I was saying, but now, you know, he just gets the repush. And again, ChiYo, you know, he's not taking too much risk. I feel like what he's doing here is totally fine. Again, absolute panorama set of orbs mid-fight. So you really can't complain about that one. I think that this is already night and day from what we saw 2 weeks ago. You can see that his value with the abilities, he's got this patience where he's getting multiple sets of the cooldown off mid-fight, but he's not using them too late, he's not using them too early. Previously, it was a huge issue of him using them too early. And now look at this, he's already 80% on the Ray. He's playing with the best Zarya in the world, so sometimes his Zarya will just do that, run it down. But it looks like he's still a little bit behind Shu in terms of charging that ultimate. Maybe this is the result of the fact that everywhere that he's been playing, rather passive. He's never really been getting that aggressive angle to poke in and get that damage. But at the same time, the enemy team has a Rhine. His team has a Zarya. So a big shield, that'll probably take away 20% of your poking ability if played correctly. So that's probably Crazy Raccoon, just a comp thing more than anything else, to be honest. Now, though, you know, he gets to come back in with his own orbital ray. And just as a quick refresher for those in the audience that weren't familiar, ChiYo, the issue was his order of operations, where he was coming out, he was using his orbs, his little torpedoes, and then he was popping his ultimate, which means that his orbs didn't get any of the damage amp from the ult. Let's see if he's, you know, studied his bod mass, his ped mass, his order of operations, and gotten this down pat to the point that he can actually get value with his orbs inside his ultimate. I'm feeling optimistic about this one. I feel like this is pretty basic stuff. Again, you see him up on that pillar, using this pillar real natural position again and again, just hopping up and down. You see, he's become like a Lucio on Juno now. He's starting to have natural movement, natural play on the hero. I feel like this is a really good thing. I feel like everything that he's done so far, it's so much better. His spacing is way, way better. He's not getting caught out for no reason. He actually has his cooldowns up until, you know, until they're needed, and he's using the double jump ability of Juno to his advantage by far. Okay, so speed ring here for his team. He probably knows that you benefit from the speed ring regardless. He's swinging super wide. Wide swinging is fine because he has the ultimate. Oh, he's getting poked out, but again, hasn't invested all his cooldowns yet. You can see he's way more patient with the torpedoes, but he gets shattered and died. So look, you know, for all the praise that I was trying to sing of young ChiYo, at the end of the day, there's still something a little bit amiss, right? Because we've come into this fight, we've had this big ult exchange, the rallies popped first, the high noon is popped, but he never finds his position to actually get that orbital ray push going, and then he gets shattered. And this is a hero that can jump above shatters, and a hero that has a shift ability that once again can dodge shatters. So something is wrong, I'm afraid. You could say that this is crazy play from Lip, swinging main and poking him out like this, but I say that ChiYo, you know, there's still something that needs to be fixed here, because for all the positives, all of the natural play where he hides up on high grounds and he hops back and forth, he's still getting caught by a Rhine shatter. And you can't be the best Juno in the world if you're getting shattered like this. So there he goes. He jumps for nothing, and as a result, he gets shattered on the landing. Maybe not enough discipline with the jump. Maybe needs to be landing on something when he's using the jump. Maybe needs to be pushing with his ultimate when there's a big ult exchange in main. Enemy team used Rally and High Noon. They could have used Rally, High Noon, and Ray and pushed into it. And then the Shatter would make, you know, getting a kill through that Ray so much more difficult. I mean, the Ray would stop that Shadow from being super lethal. You'd be able to keep trading out. Something like 85% of the people watching here on YouTube are not subscribed to the channel. If you want to see more than one video ever, then maybe try subscribing. While you're at it, I'm a Twitch streamer, so check me out on twitch.tv/Unter. He's done it. He's done it. I got a little distracted, but he's done it. The order of operations has come true. He pushes up in main. He uses his speed ring first. He welcomes us to orbit. He comes in with the orbs, and what does he do with the orbs? He gets a kill. He actually did it. He got his order of operations. He studied. He pulled out the textbook. He got reading, and he's done it correctly this time. So now he's playing Juno like a pro, like the pro, perhaps. So, you know, if you're on Juno, do this. Do this. Get your order of operations correct. That would be ult into orbs. And maybe, you know, use the double jump to get on these little high grounds. Play from a different vertical plane so you can see a little more, shoot a little more. There's a W order of operations right there. That's ChiYo, you know, he's a new man. He's renewed. I made you, ChiYo. I made you and you know it. All right, what comes next? Speed ring early out from ChiYo. I'm not sure what this is. This seems a little overzealous. This feels like the worst speed ring of all time. Fortunately, he's got Fielder in the back to just sleep Hisung and win them the fight regardless. So there, worst speed ring I've ever seen, where he speed rings nothing. ChiYo, no, I'm telling you, ChiYo did watch the video. I talked to him in Korea and he said he'd watched the video. He said that he's like, oh, you said I'm shit. You said I suck. It's like, so he did watch the video. I'm telling you, he has watched it. I made him. I made you, ChiYo. Anyhow, awful speed ring here. Just ringed nothing. They didn't push, just ring for nothing. They're not pushing, they're doing nothing, so I'm not sure what that was about. But fortunately, Fields is there to bail him out. Fields is there to bail him out. All right, now, you know, we're just chilling in the neutral, we're just poking. You can see that when he was playing Juno a couple of weeks ago, he was super aggressively poking. No matter the matchup, he was just poke, 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 poke. He did so much as to peek the enemy team's spawn with his speed ring and throw his orbs, his torpedoes at the spawn. I think he might have adjusted a little bit too far in the wrong direction, in the opposite direction, to be honest, because now I think he's playing it a little too safe. Someone might have gotten in his head and told him you're fucking feeding and wasting all of your cooldowns, because now he's doing the opposite, where he's not getting any pre-fight poke at all. So obviously he respects Lip, right? He respects the fact that Juno can throw a spear across the map, pin him to the wall, kill him early on. But because he's not getting any of this poke, I mean, you saw the consequences of that earlier on, right? Where Shu has the orbital ray and ChiYo is like 20% away from his own. Like, look at this right here. ChiYo, 78%, Shu, 99. This is what happens if you play like a coward. So he needs to be careful that he's not over-adjusting, because his team, they had positioning first off. Raccoon went back to spawn and swap comp. So there was a very real chance for ChiYo to poke a little bit, maybe throw out a set of torpedoes while they were swapping, for example. But he's not doing any of that. He's always playing these safe far back angles. Anyway, where were we? Here's the sleep. And here's the next fight, where you can see, again, no poking at all, right? He's not wide swinging main. Like, he could be swinging down here, like bottom right, and poking up in main, a little bit behind his tank, something like that. But no peeking is happening, right? He's just playing really like the safe position all the time, even in the pre-fight. The speed ring here, not the worst thing in the world. Used it just to peel. But he got a little lost in the source positionally here, right? So here he's on the left. He didn't kite back over the mini. So then the Tracer gets to take the mini. So that's not ideal. He could have kited over the mini. And then here, when he continues to kite, he doesn't really know where he's going, you know? He could have used this shift right here to float over to the Mega. That could have been his next block, right? So he could have gone down here, and then just rotated with his team point side over to here. But it looked kind of like they might have to fall back this way. He's making the decision. At this point, it should be clear. You can fall back. You can go over to the Mega, but instead, he doesn't float over to the Mega. He floats in the middle of everything. Look at where he is. There is a wall between him and the enemy team. So ChiYo, you know, for all of the natural play that we've seen improved at the start of fights, his mid fights still look like they could do with some work. You know, we've seen two big fights where one time around he buggers up his jump and gets shattered, and now here again ult exchange starts to happen and he's just in no man's land. He's in the middle of everything. His torpedoes were good, his speed ring was good, but his position in the midst of it all is bad. He's not winding up in these good positions for Juno, up on these little high grounds, up here towards the Mega, up here. He's not winding up in any of these spots in the mid fight. He's winding up in no man's land, dead. And there he is, no man's land, dead. Fortunately, he has Team Falcons to back him up. He has Stalker, Hanban, Proper, so they clutch out the fight again. But again, I think this is going to be pretty deadly, right? We're rolling into the last fight. ChiYo, 60% on his orbital ray. Shu has the orbital ray. This is going to be an ult difference fight for the final fight, and they're just going to lose to it. They're just going to lose to this ult diff. So now we go on. His speed rings out of spawn, reasonable, because, you know, Falcon's there in control. He needs to get back quickly. Yeah, we got Stalker, and that's Proper up on the high ground, swinging over here in main. And really, I mean, from his perspective at this stage, we just need to charge up Orbital Ray, right? We're 25% away from Orbital Ray now. We just need to charge that up. So if he can charge this up, all will be good in the world. He's done nothing wrong so far. He's really done nothing wrong so far. The orbs here were a little bit lukewarm, I'll be honest, a little bit lukewarm. Didn't seem like he could actually see anything to orb, but, you know, at least it was mid-fight. At least he's going to get multiple sets of it. And now Stalker gets this rolling heal on him, so not the worst thing in the world. Now we're in final fight. He actually has the orbital ray, but Crazy Raccoon, they've done really well with the ult economy. So maybe due to no fault of ChiYo, Crazy Raccoon are just going to come in with 5 ults and win it. Let's see what happens. They go for the aggro fight and spawn. The orbital ray comes out. He actually gets the first kill. He gets bashed. Look, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this fight. What are we gonna have to do with this one? I think, you know, a couple of problems here perhaps is that where he's put this orbital ray down, it's basically in this archway right now. So where this orbital ray is gonna go is absolutely not where the fight is going to continue, right? Like, he blew his load so early. He threw the ray in here, which means that it's just going to go straight into their spawn, straight into nowhere, where you can't kite, you can't fight. It might be where the enemy kites, so it could be reasonable to keep chasing there, but this is a desperate fight from Falcons, right? Raccoon have 5 ultimates, Falcons have 2. So really they need to do something crazy. So I think it's almost unreasonable. I'm a true ChiYo hater, right? Like I love to flame him for everything that he does. But running headfirst into the enemy Orisa as the start of your surprise play, it can be better. You can do better. But I understand how this occurs, right? Because when you've got 5 ults to 2, you need to do something crazy. But unfortunately, Crazy Raccoon, I mean, this is just another play to them because they are the crazy ones. So here comes the orbital ray. He gets lip, but he's just stuck on top of a rallying brig. The ults just keep coming for Crazy Raccoon, and the fact that ChiYo can't keep moving through his orbital ray is going to be the death of him, right? There actually was outplay potential in this, but he turned around to try and save Fielder. He could have just followed his ray outside, but I mean, look at where this goes, right? Like, he needs to keep following his ray outside, allow the point to flip. There's a lot that he needs to do differently here in order to win, but instead he gets bashed kiting away from his ray, and that means that he's never going to be caught in it ever again. Great play from Juno though, just popping the Fortify, running up onto Fielder and solo killing him with the ult. And then the only thing that, you know, perhaps ChiYo could have improved is using his ray a little further back so that they can fight in it in this open space for a longer period of time. And just following his orbital ray into the spawn so that then he actually has a chance of not being dead. Because if they all got out here, right? You see the DPS, the good players on his team, got outside. So if he lived with his orbital ray, got outside with the DPS, suddenly we'd be in a 4v4 where Chorong is potentially up shit creek without a paddle because one member of Crazy Raccoon has to go to point. But they have to go to point or they're going to lose the game. So you'd get a 4v3 for Falcons where you'd have Juno, Orisa, and double DPS fighting Chorong stuck behind enemy lines. Junbin kind of stuck somewhere in the middle, and perhaps Shu as well. So there was a real chance for Team Falcons to win this if ChiYo kited out towards the spawn. So I think that I'm getting more and more critical as I go, now that I think about it. The other thing to note, he did not use his torpedoes. He did not use his torpedoes with his ult. He came in here. He has an okay angle to hit a couple of people with the torpedoes, but he just goes for the mouse 1 damage on lip. He just goes for the concentrated damage on lip. And look, I'm not a mathematician. I'm not sure what does more DPS, getting the torpedoes off with the damage boost or just spamming mouse 1. Maybe it was reasonable for him to do this. Maybe he was going to pop the torpedoes earlier on, but just for the sake of flaming him for no reason, we're going to call this an L order of operations. And as you can see, his team loses. That's the end.